Live from the WNSC studio, it's time for the WNSC Nightly News with Stan the Anchorman Willingham, Stan the Weatherman Willingham, and Stan the Sportsman Willingham.
Hi, I'm Stan Anchorman Willingham with today's news. Today we're going to focus on safety stories for the Memorial Holiday and the rest of the summer. Our first spot comes from Stan the Reporter Man from Ocean View Beach in Norfolk, Virginia. Well, thanks, Stan. As you see, we're out here at Ocean View Beach where we have people enjoying the water, the sand, and the sun. We also know that the water and the beach and the pool can be one of the most dangerous areas for our sailors, Marines, and civilians during the holidays. To preclude or save some lives or cause anybody not to have any problems, we just want to give them a few points to remember as they approach the water. Number one, respect the water. Respect the water. If you don't know how to swim, learn to swim.
My last Liberty call in Fort Lauderdale started off nice enough. But when I suddenly realized I was being tugged out to sea by a rip current, things got pretty scary. At first, I was too embarrassed to call for help. I'm a sailor after all. I should know what to do in a water emergency. But I was tiring quickly trying to swim against the current. I knew if I didn't get help, I'd drown. Thank goodness there was a lifeguard nearby. It only took him a few seconds to get to me, but it seemed an eternity. He towed me parallel to the shore until we were both free of the current. Then he easily pulled me back to the beach. I learned an important lesson about the sea that day. The trick to escaping a rip current is to swim parallel to the shore, not towards the shore, and look for rip current warnings when you first arrive.
I'll never forget that day, but it hasn't dampened my love for the beach. Now I know what to do if it ever happens again.
When swimming, be sure that you swim in supervised areas with lifeguards.
We lost a swimmer last week, just up the beach here. He was pulled out to sea by a rip current and drowned. Unfortunately, he didn't know how easy it is to swim free of a current. See, a rip current happens when winds blow towards shore. The wind pushes a lot of water in, and that water needs a way to escape. So it opens up a channel to funnel the water back out to sea. If you get caught in that channel, you're in a rip current and you're heading out with the water. What you should not do is try to fight the current by swimming directly back to shore. You'll exhaust yourself, and that's when people drown. What you should do is swim parallel to the shore until you're free of the current. Then just swim back in. But the key is not to panic. Just swim parallel and you'll be fine. Of course, if you see these rip current warning flags or signs, it's a good idea to stay out of the water altogether. Make your leave a fun one, but watch out for those rip currents at the beach.
If you have children, make sure that they are supervised. And most of all, learn to recognize the water conditions. With those points, we want to wish everybody a happy holiday, a safe holiday, and enjoy the water. Back to you, Stan. And now to Stan the Weatherman Willingham to get some interesting information on tornadoes, hurricanes, and summer weather in general. Hi, I'm Stan the Weatherman Willingham, here to give you some information on hurricanes, tornadoes, and weather. If you look at the map here, you can see that thunderstorms and tornadoes are forming out over the plain states. Let me give you some tips on tornadoes and actions that you should take in the event thereof. Tornado is a violent rotating column of air extending from the base of a thunderstorm to the ground. If you should see or become aware of a tornado's impending arrival or formation, immediately seek shelter underground. And if you can't find underground shelter, seek shelter in a reinforced room. Listen to the radio and ride the storm out, and just be ready for all clear. And if we look off the coast of Virginia, we can see the images of hurricanes that are forming out in the Atlantic Ocean. Let me give you some tips on hurricane safety. The key to hurricane survival is preparation beforehand. Build a hurricane prep kit consisting of a flashlight, batteries, medication, 3 days of water per person, a transistor radio with batteries, perishable foods, canned goods, and can openers. And most of all, a transistor radio so you can monitor the National Weather Service to know exactly what the conditions of the storms are and when the all clear signal is to be forming. Back to you, Stan. And now to Stan, the sportsman Willingham, to give you some tips on recreational off-duty safety and sports. Hi, I'm Stan, the sportsman Willingham, coming to you from Naval Station Norfolk's gym, where some of the greatest legends have ever originated on the basketball court. We know that basketball accounts for the most sports and recreational injuries suffered by our sailors and Marines. In order to preclude those injuries from occurring, I wanted to pass on to you from some simple points. Number one, before you start playing, know your physical limitations. Stretch and flex and warm up your large muscle groups. Stay hydrated. Use sports PPE, i.e. mouth guards and eye protection. Know first aid. And finally, be smart and competitive. Now, that's our report from the basketball court. Now, to give you some safety pointers for safety away from the gym, take a look at these short videos.
Hi guys, I'm Don Burkowski from the Naval Safety Center. Hey, riding season is just starting for a lot of us. Remember to T-clock your motorcycle when you break it out. That doesn't mean just dust it off. Make sure everything is good to go, your fluids are good, and everything is taken care of. Remember, your tire pressure is the most important thing you can check on that motorcycle. You should be doing that on a daily basis anyway. If you haven't done it already, take that battery out and charge it up, because that's the one thing that's going to fail for you at the beginning of a season. And it could be failing somewhere where you really want to have your motorcycle running. Start slowly out there. Remember, the first mile is to warm up your tires and warm up your bike. And the first week is to warm up you, because you haven't been on the road for a while. Ride defensively out there. Cars haven't seen you for quite some time, so now you're the new thing out there on the highway. Remember, never assume the right of way. It's just one of those things out there. Cars can't see you necessarily, so you have to take care of you. Your skills are a little bit rusty, so don't push your limits out there. Ride smart and be careful out there on the road. Don Burkowski from the Naval Safety Center with your motorcycle gals. See you on the road.
Thanks, Stan. Stan, and a new member of our team, Stan. We've talked about water safety. We've talked about recreational and off-duty safety and sports. Now we get to a topic that's very personal and dear to me. That's driving safety. We all will be traveling many miles by car this summer, going from point A to point B. But before we start that, I want you to promise me that you'll keep the following in mind. Before you start your driving or any of your trips, promise me that you'll get plenty of rest. Promise me you'll watch your speed.
To most of us, there's an obvious difference between this and this. Unfortunately, some feel it's okay to pick up the pace if you're late for work, or trying to catch a movie, or late for a meeting with your new commanding officer. The reality is, there's no good excuse for speeding. There's a time and a place for speed. City streets aren't it.
Promise me you won't fall into the trap of distractions, i.e. the cell phone and texting.
Let's look at a few pictures. Can you figure out what they all have in common? Time's up. So what's the common bond? That's right. They're all distractions while you're driving. So leave the distractions out of reach in the car. Who wants to end up in the hospital? Or even worse, just for a bag of stale chips?
Promise me that you will restrict and moderate the use of alcohol, and that you'll also be an adult and use a designated driver where need be. Tell me that you'll use good judgment. And finally, promise me that you will wear your seat belts.